Hi everyone, my name is Melia and I studied in Paris, France for a semester with AIFS. Today I wanted to talk to you about culture shock, and culture shock is something that a lot of study abroad students experience because you are leaving your home country and going to a host country for a fairly long period of time, and it definitely happened to me. Culture shock happens because of a concept called the Iceberg of Culture. So at the tip of the iceberg above the water, that's things that we can see on the surface of a culture, like the way they dress, the food they eat, their flag, the language they speak, things like that. Things that we can see just by watching the news or going to a country for a short period of time as a tourist. And then there are the things that are underneath the water, the larger part of the iceberg, that are more nuanced, like the way they view friendship, age, gender, cleanliness, things like that that you wouldn't totally get right away. So culture shock happens when these things that are underneath the surface, under the water of the iceberg, start to get to you, and you start to feel like you don't know why things are happening a certain way. You feel out of place, but you're not totally sure why, and that's because of the nuances of the culture that you're not used to. So things that can show you that you're going through culture shock, signs of culture shock, would definitely be, probably the biggest one, is being overly critical of the culture. So little teeny tiny things might get to you. Let's think things like crossing the street. You think that people are crossing the street at the wrong time because it's not what you're used to, even though that is nuanced in the culture that it is okay. That something like that might really bother you because you're experiencing culture shock. And then also you might be sleeping too much or sleeping too little, maybe going out too much and putting stress on your body, or going out too little and kind of holing up in your room and being very introverted. So the best thing you can do is just recognize that you're going through culture shock and then do things to kind of get yourself back in balance. So if you're staying in your room all the time, the best thing to do would be to go out, whether that's by yourself and go explore, or maybe get a group of people from your AIFS program group and you can go out and explore things together. Or if you're sleeping too little and going out too much, maybe force yourself to go to bed early and get enough sleep so that you can feel recharged. I also wanted to touch on the issue of reverse culture shock. This is definitely a real thing. I definitely experienced it. And that is the concept of coming back to your home country and actually feeling out of place in your home country. So you got used to all of the nuances of your new country once you kind of got adjusted to that and were there for a longer period of time, and then you come back to your home country and you actually feel out of place there. So you have to relearn all the nuances of your home country compared to the ones you learn in your host country. And again, the best thing to do there is just find things that rebalance your life, recognize that you're going through reverse culture shock, and maybe that's why you're feeling extra fatigued and angry about things, just because maybe they're a little bit different than you're used to. So hopefully you found this video helpful and you can recognize the effects of culture shock when it's happening so that you can combat them right away and not stay in them for the whole semester.